In this quick start video, we're going to be taking a look at creating a checkered flag design. Now this will make for a great rhinestone car decal or for a shirt, whatever, but we're going to be doing it from a JPEG original. Now we've already have the JPEG imported here into CorelDRAW, and if you don't know how to import a JPEG into CorelDRAW, you just go to File, Import, and select what file type you want to import, which in this case is a JPEG file, and you just go ahead and import it. Very, very simple to do. Now we're going to have this file available in our download section on the website, so you can download this actual file and try it out for yourself. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend that we do when we import this JPEG is to right click on it and choose Lock Object. That way we can't accidentally move the JPEG. Now from there, what we need to do is define the outside edge of our flag at the top and at the bottom. So we're going to use our 3-point curve tool for that function here in CorelDRAW, and we're going to draw from corner to the center of our flag, create that curve. So click, drag, create the curve. That is all one line. Let's go ahead and do the bottom. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more detail. So right here at the tip of the flag, come to the center of the flag, so we clicked and drug to our second point, and then I let go of the mouse, and then we define the curve. Now if I hover over the edge, see that little downward pointing arrow? That means I'm going to make a connection. Click, drag, let go of the mouse to define the exact curvature of the line. So you can see that part, very, very easy to do, right? So we're going to select this top line, and we're going to apply some stones to the top line, but we really don't know how many stones we're going to apply yet. So let's go ahead and pick a contrasting color such as topaz, come to our stone tab and choose drop stone. Now all that does is it drops the stone right in the center of our document. And I'm going to bring the stone over to the top of our square. Now what I want to kind of get a feel for is how many stones will fit in each square. So I select that one, and then that one, and then that one. And so we know, both vertically and horizontally, about 3 stones are going to fit. And we're using SS10 at 3.2 millimeters. So with that knowledge, we have a good idea of how many stones we're going to apply to the top and bottom lines of our design here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. So going horizontally across the top of this line, 6 times 3 is 18, right? So let's go ahead and choose our crystal color. Let's go ahead and enter a value here of 18. And so that when I click on Add Stones, we get exactly 18 stones that are 3.2 millimeters that are evenly spaced apart. I'm going to go ahead and click on my bottom line, and I'm going to choose 18 stones. Now you can see that the bottom line of stones are a little bit further spaced apart than the top, because obviously our flag is bigger at the bottom. So I'm going to come into my shape tool here, and I'm going to modify that bottom line a bit, because I really don't want the stones spaced that far apart. So I'm going to cheat the design a little bit. Right? So now these stones are a little bit closer spaced together. And I think that's going to look a little bit better for our purpose. Now the next thing we need to do is determine how many stones are going to fit between each line of these stones. And we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares going vertically. We know that we can fit 3 squares, or 3 stones per square. 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm going to go ahead and select these 2 lines of stones, break them apart, and I'm going to select the first stone at the bottom and the first stone at the top, and I'm going to enter a value of 3 times 4, which is 12. And then when I click on Shift Add Stones, we get exactly 12 stones in between, which is exactly what we want. And now we could do that all the way down the line. So I could select the first one, the last one, Shift Add Stones, go ahead and do that again, Shift Add Stones, on down the line. But there's actually a little bit easier way to do it. And there's a lot of different options you have available to you in CorelDRAW. I just want to point out something kind of interesting. So we're going to select this last row of stones, and I'm going to hover over You can see where it says node. If I click and drag and hover over to the next spot, see where it says center? If I hit the space bar right now, it's going to make a duplicate and it's going to place it right in the center. So I just come over here, center. Come over here, center. Right? And I'm going to go ahead and delete that last line because we don't need that duplicate. And I'm going to do that same process all the way across. So we go ahead and select that, hover over where it says node, hover over where it says center, space, center, space, hitting the space bar, space bar, space bar, space bar, space bar, space bar, space bar. We'll go ahead and delete that last line and then continue the process all the way over for the last few. So hover over to where it says node, click and drag, hover over to where it says center, hit the space bar, center, space bar, center, space bar, and that last one, just let go. Okay, so now we have it all going across the top, but look at the bottom. This is way off. So we're going to grab our shape tool, and all we have to do is grab this end node and drag it over to where it says node. Click on here. We're going to drag it over to where it says center. So right here, center. And all the way across, we're going to adjust these paths. And because the stones are applied to the path, it makes it very easy to adjust these stones into their proper position. Now we could have done the shift add stones to the top and bottom stone all the way across, and that may have been just as quick and easy as doing it this way. But I just wanted to show you some of the different options that you have available to you, and all we're doing is using that snapping function, snap to object function here in CorelDRAW to snap the paths to their proper location, so into the center of the bottom stone placement. And that's why we have the top stones and the bottom stones set first, so we had something to snap to. So we just have a couple more to do here. Now we can move this like way over here and then pull it back till we get to the center point. Sometimes that's a little bit easier to do. Pull it over and then pull it back till it hits the center point. And then this looks like the last one here. So we'll pull it back to the center point. Alright, so now that takes care of all of our lines. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take, if we go to wireframe mode, we can probably see this better. We see that we have all these lines just like we had in other projects as well. So we're going to select them all. We're going to choose break stones. So we'll go ahead and break those stones. And then we're going to select everything, come back into our selections and hit select define paths. And then we can either get rid of those paths, save them for a later date, but for my use right now, I'm just going to go ahead and dispose of them because we don't need them. And then we'll come back in here, and you'll be able to pick this up easier, I think, in this frame. But you can see where the black is right here. So I'm just going to select these stones right here. And I could just keep going, selecting stones. You know, I've done this enough where, you know, I can kind of visualize what's happening. You may not want to select this many stones at once, but we're going to choose a different color and come back to our stone tab and choose rename and fill. Now, in wireframe mode, we're not going to really see anything, but if we go back to enhance mode, now you can see I actually missed a stone there, so I'll hit rename and fill. So now you can see what we did. We changed these few blocks of stones. And so we could just keep coming in. If we wanted to, we could try and make a selection and hit rename and fill. And then, you know, just come in and pick up the ones that we weren't able to select very easily. Again, we'll try and make a selection. We'll hit rename and fill. All those rename just fine. So we can come in here and make little selections. Choose rename and fill, and then come in here and pick up a few stones and hit the rename and fill. So however you're comfortable working, it doesn't really matter. Looks like here we actually selected a row of stones that we shouldn't have, so we'll go back to our crystal color and hit the rename and fill, and then select these 3 stones and change them back to jet. And then we can select these row of 3 stones here and hit the rename and fill, and just kind of keep going up all the way up the design. So we have all these colored stones that we need to be recolored to black selected. I'm going to hit rename and fill. And I find that sometimes the easiest way to do it is just to select all the stones one by one. When you don't have a lot of stones to select anyhow, sometimes that's the easiest way to do it. If we have different selection tools in Easy Stone that we could pick these stones up maybe a little bit easier, but we don't have that many stones to select, so that pretty well handles that. Okay, so now that we have that in place, now what we have to do is just add the stones for our pole. And then, of course, we have to mirror the design. So what I would do is take one of these stones, and I don't know, I'll probably do a black pole here, but let's just take one of the stones and place it right like so. And then all I did was, let me go ahead and delete that and walk you through that a little bit more. So we're going to left click and drag, right click to make a duplicate stone. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. We're just going to left click and drag, and then right click to create a duplicate stone. And then we're going to select those 2 stones and hit shift add stones to create that line of stones for our flag. Now I'm going to pull this away from our bitmap so we can see what we actually have at this point. And now you can better see the design that we actually have. Now up here you can see how this stone is a little bit too close, and that's what I love about adding stones to a path, is because all we have to do is nudge that path and we can create that spacing that we need. Now maybe that was too much, whatever, follow that all the way down. You can see it's touching, so we'll just come all the way down to the bottom here and we'll just nudge that path slightly, and then you can see what kind of difference it makes. Well, we got to nudge it a little bit more, so we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll get that exactly the way we want to. And you can see even here, we still have to probably nudge it a little bit more to get that spacing that we want, so we don't have any issues when we go to cut our template. Let's look at it now, and now I think we have that spacing just about the way we want it. We might click on this line here, and we could actually move this a little bit here just to add a little bit more spacing there. And I think that looks pretty good. So now we have that row of stones just like we want it. We have enough spacing. And so now what we need to do is go ahead and duplicate this. So we'll select the whole design, left click and drag. If we hold the shift key down, it drags completely horizontally, and then right click. So that makes an exact duplicate, and then we can mirror it, and then we just have to overlap these stones. So we just have to find the perfect overlap spot to overlap the 2 flags like that. Now we have a little bit of a situation here where these stones are touching, but again, that's pretty easily resolved. So we're going to select the whole design, break the stones apart, and then we can come in here and we can just give these a bit of a nudge. So these 2, if I nudge this one a little bit and I nudge this one a little bit, we'll create that gap that we need without really needing to adjust any other stones. Okay, so when we zoom out here, still looks great, and all I have to do now is get rid of the outline of all the stones. Remember that from previous videos. We'll just go ahead and right click on our X to get rid of our outlines, and there we have a really nice checkered flag design. And what I actually did for my rhinestone car window decal, I actually see a stone or 2 that we need to rename and fill. We need that one and this one right here. There we go. But what I was saying, what I did for my rhinestone car decal, I actually cut out a little area down here and then put in, actually I probably cut a bigger hole, but then right here we could add some text or a race team name or something like that. And of course, we could extend these rhinestones down for our flagpole if we needed to, but that's just an idea. This is a great design for, because it's not very big. It's only about, this one's 7 inches wide. But anyhow, it'd be a great design. We could add a race team name or something like that, and it would be a great design to put on a car window. So I hope you enjoyed this project and learning a couple of extra tools here in EasyStone to make this design process easier. And thanks for watching.